Good evening. Welcome to another episode of On the Trail in Search of Living Legends. It's going to be season 4. We are on episode 7 or 8, right, Nick? I think. Every now and then it'll slip my mind.
This is lucky.
But anyway, here with my partner, Mr. Nick Valenti. Nick, how's it going, man?
Oh, doing great, doing great.
Good. Glad to be back for another week. It's good to see you. And I'm going to let you, have you introduce our guests. And we've got a really important show, everybody, tonight, and I think you're going to enjoy yourself. So sit back, grab a drink, and listen in. Nick, it's all you.
A coming out show for our newest director of the North American Dogman Project. He is the current director of Region 1, Shane-Maichael Crisp. Shane, how are you doing today?
Good, brother. How are you guys doing? Like I said,
Shane.
it's a true honor to be on here, and thank you for the introduction, Nick. Glad to be a part of the North American Dogman Project. It's a huge honor.
When I heard that the previous director was retiring, and your name actually came to mind first.
Oh, really? Okay.
It read my mind because I was talking to her, and she said she wanted you to be the new director. She thought it fitting, and I told her I totally agreed with her. So she appeared with Jody Cook, and here you are today.
I know, 2 weeks later.
It's been congratulations, by the way, on that, man. Congrats.
Thank you, guys. It's been a true honor. I mean, I'm all about the
awesome.
Dogman. I love all the other cryptids and big fan of them, but the Dogman has me the most intrigued in. That's what I'm all about.
Understand. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, one of them, I get it too, because we were just talking about before you came on. You know, we get a little into everything, but you know, Nick's the Dogman guy, I'm the Sasquatch guy, and everyone's got you got your poison, so to speak, right?
That's true. And like I said, I'm a big fan of the Sasquatch, the Mothman, the Chupacabras, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just I never heard about the Dogman, and when I heard about it last year, that's why I started diving deeper and deeper into it. And I didn't even know the North American Dogman Project was around, to be honest with you.
Right.
And when I started doing a little bit more research, I tried joining, but then the website was down. I was like, oh, well, that's a bummer. So I ended up coming across Jody Cook and added him, started talking to him, and then he got me in contact with Dev Rooney. And back in March, I became a field investigator for her. And then 2 weeks ago, she decided to step down because she's heavily involved with MUFON and stuff. And it was just one thing. Another thing is she just, had too much on her plate, and she nominated me, and I was truly honored by that. And then, like Nick was saying, he talked to her about it and everything. And here we are, man. It's been fun 2 weeks. I just don't want to mess up. I'm, just trying to do my best. I'm the rookie,
Hey, it's all we can do, right? Do our best.
You're the youngest. You're the youngest director of the NADP ever.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Shane, I want to get into other background stuff, but I see your background right now when I'm looking at you, and you have my blood moon patch up there on the wall.
I know I need to order some from you. I was going to send you the money. I've just been so busy with football and life and family, but I need to get some from you. But
my question was, do you, a lot of your artwork is really good, and the stuff you post, do you do your own stuff?
I do everything off my phone, to be honest with you. I kind of just take different logos. Yeah. Just off my iPhone 13. But yeah, I do have Nick's patch. I love that, blood moon patch.
Because you killed that banner.
What was that?
That banner you made for this show was amazing. Nick and I both were very, very impressed, man. That was awesome, dude. I gotta tell you.
That one saves us a little bit of time.
Yeah,
absolutely. Right? Absolutely.
Yeah. I really use only 3 apps on my iPhone, and I just do all the editing off that. So I have a real passion in creating just different things, and like the North American Dogman Project. Region 1, it seems like Region 3 has a logo. DA Roberts has one for Region 2. I've been kind of fumbling up something different, jotting down different ideas, and then I was going to send it to Nick and Jody and DA and Art and see what they think about it.
Yeah,
but I've got like 4 of them right now. I'm kind of tinkering with. I don't want it to interflict with anyone else's logo or anything like that. Kind of just be a little different.
Right.
But yeah, hopefully eventually Region 1 will have its own logo, and like how Nick has a team, I'm trying to build up a team out here in California, and we have about 5 or 6 field investigators. But what we're trying to do is, I know Deb was wanting to get together a team. Like Nick says, he doesn't go out with less than 7. I respect that 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
I heard that in a previous interview that he has done, and I was like, that's a smart thing. You got to cover your 6 all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
you know, I always say you are allowed to go into the wilderness, into the forest area. And we generally go anywhere from 5 to 12 miles in. I mean, we're not in, you know, oh, like these people, oh, we went in 1 mile. Well, sorry, but, you know, we are going in there for real and we're trying to find something. And, but the thing is, you really need to be able to come back home. You know, you do have a right to come back home safely. And with that many people, and with that many people having a job to do, you know, covering our 9 o'clock or 3 o'clock, you know, I'm generally in the center directing it and looking forward, up, down, and we have our 6 covered by 2 guys all the time because you never know. And I don't mean just from cryptid either. I'm talking about from bears, mountain lion, coyotes. We were in this one state. Well, you know, I don't want to talk it down because the place gets a lot of them, but this one state, there was a lot of coyotes we were coming across. And I'm going to tell you, they will attack humans. And this one point, we were going down a trail and there must have been at least 20 coyote.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And we had no choice after letting them have it with bear spray. They went away, but then they came back and they were snarling and they were charging at us. And we had no other option but to have a few of them. And you know, I'm not a hunter. I don't hunt animals, but I'm not going to allow them to attack us and, you know, rip somebody apart, give them rabies, bite them in an area where they're going to bleed to death, even though we have our first aid kits on us. And I don't mean Band-Aids either. I'm talking about real life first aid kits that even if you got a bullet wound, we're able to treat it. You know, you should still have the peace of mind that you're going to come back home, you know, and I know 7 people sounds like it's a lot, but I've seen other groups out there and they're not even as serious as we are, and they're like 13 to 15 people.
Oh, wow.
You know, you just got to get the right people, and I guess in your state you really can't carry when you're out there.
That's what they say. I know in my county where I'm from, we actually have concealed carry, but I'm still taking something out there with me, and I'll pay the fine, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
I got to protect my life.
In a wooded area is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I just hope you take to heart when I do say bear spray.
Yes, I've actually purchased some because of a previous interview that you said. I got it off Amazon, and then a buddy of mine was telling me about some bear bangers, and I was like, "What's a bear banger?"
I have that. It's like a flare gun. What it does is it lets out a large bang and a very bright flash.
Oh, okay.
You know, so and it's like a shotgun. You're gonna have to break it open, take it out, put another one in, cock it, and shoot it. I have a demo on that from when I went up to Moscow, Maine. It was, when I say pitch black, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face, you know, 6 inches away. That's how dark this area was in Moscow, Maine when I was up there. One of our other members, he had some Dogman sightings up there. Unfortunately, we didn't find Dogman sightings, but we did find mountain lion scat. We found a dead moose bones. One of the ladies from the Cryptozoology Museum was up there with us, and she took some of those moose bones back and the mountain lion scat. So people say, "Oh no, there's not mountain lions over in my state." And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They don't say, "Oh, we're only going to stay in Texas." No.
Right.
Everywhere.
Yep. People try to say we don't have them here in the Adirondacks either, but they're sorely mistaken.
Yeah.
That's just like with the wolves out here in California. The last group was eradicated in 1924. But I was just talking to Ryan Tremblay the other day, and he's like, "Well, there was 3 families that were introduced back into California from Oregon. So the one that came from Oregon traveled over 1,000 miles to find a mate." I actually went and looked it up. My wife looked it up, and so the wolves are slowly coming back into California, you know, from the Oregon and Washington areas.
Yeah, they're making a comeback here too as well. And the DEC denied it here they've been denying it for the last 7 years, and they're finally admitting the fact that the wolves have in fact returned. I don't think they ever went anywhere to begin with, personally.
Yeah.
But that's what they say, you know, they've returned. Well, you know, anyway, yeah, that's pretty wild.
I want to get into a little bit about Shane, but a real quick story about, you know, from what you were saying there about traveling 1,000 miles. I have a childhood friend of mine I went to grammar school with. When he got married, he moved to Florida. And then after one of the big major storms down there, and this is like 20 years ago, he and his wife decided to move up to North Carolina, northwestern North Carolina. Somehow their cat got missing. All right. And they couldn't wait any longer. The moving trucks, everybody went, they left. Well, a couple months later, guess who shows up at their back door? The cat. This cat traveled 1,000+ miles and appeared at their house. Now,
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I looked it up, and it's not the first time, an animal has tracked its people down, but I don't know how that thing did it, how it did it.
Me
Wasn't there a
neither.
movie on a dog that I think it came out in theaters about 2-3 years ago, but there was a dog, I think, that was based on a true story, and it traveled something. I don't know if it was like what Nick said with the cat going 1,000, but I know it traveled a couple, I want to say a state or two over.
That's
And
that's weird. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
They do say that dogs are man's best friend, so.
Oh yeah.
Right.
That's something I want to bring out too, is that if you pee off a Sasquatch or a Dogman really enough, and even if you move away, they'll track you down.
Absolutely.
And if there's a reason, they will track you down. So
Yep.
just be forewarned, people. Don't mess
Yep.
up out there, what you're doing. But enough of the chit chat, guys. Let's get into Sean. Sean, I'd like to know when you, a little background on you, and when did you start into cryptozoology with cryptids and stuff?
Well, I've always been a firm believer in Sasquatch and the UFOs, the paranormal. I just didn't really ever put any thought to it, knowing that, there's something else out there. And I believe that the government does cover up a lot of stuff like that. And us being curious species, I've never really thought of putting the research behind it, just thinking, okay, there might be, a hairy man out in the woods. I believe that we're not the only ones in this universe. But what really got me into diving into it was the Dogman. I was listening, I was working last summer with a coworker, and he's like, hey man, I really want to see a Sasquatch, but I really want to see a Dogman. And then he told me, I looked at him, I'm like, oh, a Dogman. I'm like, man, there's no such, why is such a stupid name? And he's like, I'm like, that's just made up. He's like, no, dude, there's really these accounts. And so we start listening to a guy's podcast where he has guests come on and they talk about their interview. And I listened to about 3 or 4 of them, and some of them sound real cheesy, but then there were some that you can hear the straight fear in the people's voice. And it just got me more intrigued. I'm like, hey, these things are werewolves. And I never really believed that you could transform into a werewolf. I thought that was all Hollywood. But then I started diving a little deeper and then come across the skinwalkers, and they're shape shifting. So I'm like, okay, it could be something to that. But then the Dogman was what got me into it. So I was like, I want to go. I was not, before I listened to Nick's interviews and stuff, people saying you don't want to go out and see these things. I wanted to go out and see one. I'm all like, hey, I want to get a picture. I want to get that $1 million photo. But I started going deeper in the woods, and then I started taking pictures. And there's going to be, even DA told me that even if you get the most clear picture and it's a Dogman holding a sign saying I'm a Dogman, you're still going to get the naysayers that are going to just tear the picture apart. So
Absolutely.
I stopped doing that type of research. I was like, okay, I'm not going to put red circles on everything, and I want evidence. I want to do that. So I joined the North American Dogman Project in May, and I'm more about wanting to go investigate, boots on the ground, other than going and taking pictures in the woods and putting little green circles around everything.
Yeah.
But I still respect that research in a certain aspect, because we're not there. And the picture can only tell 1,000 words, but actual evidence, I think, can present way more. And so that's what I'm about. That's a different form of research. I'm not really not knocking, but I'm moved on from that. So
right.
I've been a part of the North American Dogman Project for the last 6 months, and I think that it's a great organization. With being a part of it, I'm all about spreading the awareness of Dogmen as well, because I believe a lot of people come see these things and they think they're crazy. They don't want to come forward, or they don't know who to go to. And I think the North American Dogman Project is a great organization to where they will help, get that out there, and, help you tell you that you're not crazy. That's the thing. these things are.
That's the truth, Shane. And you're going to find this as the longer you stay in the organization and the more contacts you come across, you're going to find that you're going to be more like a counselor at sometimes.
Yep.
Because people have contacted me and they've had an encounter or they saw something. And once you see something like this, I mean, something of the magnitude of a 7.5-foot Dogman,
It's really terrifying.
A lot of people just have PTSD from it.
Yep.
And
yeah,
I've spoken to people for one guy for over 2 weeks, just to come down from him being so afraid.
Oh, there's hunters. I've heard of accounts where hunters will not go back into the woods because they see these things.
Absolutely.
And they quit their hobby and they have to go find, or like Nick said, they have PTSD and they need someone to go to. And I believe that like with the North American Dogman Project's intention is to help spread awareness. And that's what I'm about, is I want to help people.
Absolutely.
And like Nick said, don't go out in the woods and go look for these things. I kind of started doing that early on, but now being more of a field investigator, I want to go help people that have seen it and then try to get evidence and what we could do to send back to Nick, DA, Jody, just so because I know I could trust them with whatever evidence. I almost sent DA some, bear scat because I thought, hey, this is different. But my wife said, no, we ain't loading that up into some bags and it ain't going to my car. So, but no, I think the North American Dogman Project is a really good organization and I'm honored to be a part of it. And I think that, you see how much the Sasquatch phenomenon went. I believe the Dogman is the new cryptid that eventually, and I believe in this lifetime, we'll get that Patterson Gimlin type footage on it.
Yeah.
And so people, because they can't debunk that. And I know there's people that do say that was faked and you're going to get critics no matter what, but something where people will be like, hey, these Dogmen really do exist.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to spread out there, and just the awareness of these things.
Yeah, kind of. I think I can speak for Nick and myself when I say that that's pretty much the approach we take as well. I think it's our duty as researchers to help reach out, have people reach out to us and reach out back and try to help people through these times. Because like you were just saying, Shane, as far as ruining hunting, after my first encounter, I didn't go back in the woods to hunt for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
So it does really, you're right, man. It's traumatic experience, like Nick was saying, actual PTSD type deal.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I couldn't agree with you more, man. I agree with you more on that.
I had a lady who owned a house 900 feet to the east of where I live, and her backyard juts up against a state forest area, and she used to walk her dog out the back door every morning. Same time every morning, about 25 minutes after 6. She had an encounter, and 3 days later, she was living in Florida. Her house is up for sale. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah, she actually is one of the few people that took a picture of a Dogman, and it was clear enough for me to see it. I asked her to send it to me, and when I went back to say, hey, you never sent me the picture, she was gone. Her brother and her sister said she requests that you do not speak about this to anybody, with her name or her address, and please don't contact her. I mean, the lady she was part of the political scene over in the county where I live, and it would just ruin her name if something like that got out that she, is reporting or something like this. So people are still afraid in 2022 to admit to something.
Yeah.
Like
and that's a shame.
Yeah, it is. It really, they don't want to lose their careers over it. And I understand, but it's the fact that they have to live with it and, the PTSD but the ridicule. You're thinking 7.5-foot bipedal canines exist. They really do. I mean, it's just the public outcry that people just think, oh, you're crazy, get the tinfoil. No,
right.
It's really, these things are being seen. And I believe that these Dogmen exist. Have I ever seen one? No. I've never seen a UFO. I've never seen the Sasquatch, but to spread the awareness of it, that behind the secrets that the government doesn't want to tell us, I believe until we're silenced as an organization, I believe that the NADP, just like with the MUFON and BFRO, it's the biggest Dogman organization in the whole entire world. And
yeah,
I believe that with what they've got. You can't go to their website and look at all the encounters and evidence and say that that's all fake. I mean, it's being reported throughout the whole entire world, and the history of from the cynocephalide to the beasts of Shevadon. I mean, dog-headed creatures from Anubis, you know, from Egyptian times. They're here. But people think of it might be a bear or a Sasquatch. I don't believe that.
No.
Just something to, I say this all the time to people. Always when you're out any place, look up. Now, you're out there in the forest, in the wilderness, and you know, wherever you go to, make sure to look up, especially at nighttime, because I did a, God, I think it's well over 800 people now. I did a survey, people that had encounters with Dogman and Sasquatch, and 93% of the time, it was 92 at one point, but now went up to 93% of the time, people have seen, I'll call it a UFO, an object, a bright light in the sky before, after, or both before and after seeing or encountering a Dogman or a Sasquatch. So if you happen to see something in the air, know that something might be around.
Yes, absolutely. I don't think a lot of people realize how common that actually is. I'm glad you mentioned that. You know, that's
so Shane, how long ago did you start with the cryptozoology?
It's been roughly since, I would say, last December is when I really started diving into it. Like I say it last August, I kind of started listening to the Dogman podcast and hearing it, just kind of intrigued, but then I really dove into it last December. And that's when I started up West Coast Dogman Project, because I didn't even know about the North American Dogman Project. A good buddy of mine had started one in Kentucky, and I was like, well, hey, maybe I'll just start one out here in California. You know, I didn't hear really of too many Dogman encounters out here, but hey, then I started getting looking, and I came across the North American Dogman Project. I was like, oh shoot, well, California's already got a page. You know, I didn't want to steal a name, so I was thinking, well, what would be an intriguing name? And I was like, okay, well, instead of just California, how about just the whole West Coast? So that's when I started West Coast Dogman Project, and then I think I started talking to Nick a little bit, Jody, DA, and then Dev, and I was like, you know what, why not just join the North American Dogman Project and somewhat not affiliated with it, because I know, you know, there's all these cryptozoology groups, but I'm like, hey, I wanted to just start a whole West Coast project. That's why I went with West Coast Sasquatch, West Coast Chupacabra, you know, UFO Project. I've got 6 other pages under the West Coast name, but my main interest is the Dogman. So that's why I'm glad to be affiliated and be a part of the North American Dogman Project. But diving into it, I'd say January was when I went out and started doing boots on the ground research on the Dogman out in the California area.
Northern, I won't, you don't have to tell me exactly where, but northern part of the state or more?
No, yeah, I'm in middle. I'm in Central California, like.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so the area, I have a good buddy who's a part of the North American Dogman Project, and he lives only about 2 hours away, and he's actually working on a case, not for the NADP, but somebody that heard some stuff, and he's actually investigating that. But DA Roberts actually gave me my first case from the Santa Cruz Mountains out here in California. And, you know, as soon as I can get back in, I have one more week of football, but I'm going to try to get him to go with me. We're going to go investigate the eyewitness who had 2 encounters out there. So,
cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited for my first case for the NADP. It happened a couple of years ago. I've texted the witness and talked to him on the phone, and the former Region 1 director, Dev Rooney, had actually called and spoke with the guy as well. So, yeah, it's pretty exciting. I'm excited for that, you know.
Yeah, good for you, man. That's awesome.
Thanks.
I really respect that, because I kind of started out the same way. And it's, you know, and like you said, man, when you first get into this stuff, people are going to make comments, like you said, put the foot down or quit smoking that shit or whatnot, you know. And yeah, I've learned over the years, and I know Nick, I mean, you learn to overcome that stuff. But it's that's cool, man. I'm happy for you. That's really a big deal, you know.
I know, first case, you know, I got people laughing at me. You know, I have a coworker like, oh, you believe in the Dogman? I'm like, wait. That's why I just keep it hush hush to myself. It's like, if you're closed-minded, I'm not gonna. Why waste my time? You know, my wife.
Why waste your breath?
My wife. She believes that there's something out there. She's like, you can't knock it. But I was like, well, you know, I'm 31 years old, and I have, you know, I'm married. I have a beautiful family, a career job. I don't care. I don't have nothing to lose. I have answers, and that's what I'm seeking. And is the Dogman phenomenon. You know, you can laugh at me all you want. I'll still go to sleep at night. I'm not
Right.
It's your hobby, number one. I mean,
Yes.
people have been into MUFON for decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1969. I mean,
Shane,
Yeah.
how many, since you've been into it,
Yeah.
how many reports of Dogman sightings or encounters have you come across?
are you talking about like out here in California area?
Yeah, in your area in California.
Well, I mean, nothing recent. I believe a lot of it. I use the North American Dogman Project's website when you go to the encounters, and I post them. They seem like they were a couple years old. One of them, I think, was back in the 50s up near Sacramento. Yeah, it's become way more urbanized. But I try to map out the most recent ones. But it seemed like they were all a couple years back, and I think that's what it is people just not want to come forward about it. And I think the most recent one was 2019. But Dev Rooney spoke and did the report on the one from the Jedediah National Forest, and it's where the Dogman is walking. You see it right by a redwood tree, and it's like walking away from it. It's probably one of the best photos on the NADP website. That happened back in 2018. So
it was recent,
the
fairly
last
recent.
years. Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's 2022, almost 2023, and according to the NADP website, I mean, the Region 3 and Region 2 are where you're getting the most encounters.
Yeah, California
cool.
has been known mostly for Sasquatch
Exactly.
encounters and sightings. I mean, heavily, and going all the way up to Oregon, Washington State, over into the Canadian border, stuff like that. I was in Washington State in search of a Sasquatch. I never got to see one. Heard a lot of wood knocks. I heard a lot of verbal, vocal sounds out there. However, at the time, I wasn't as up to date on my sounds as I am today. These days, I've studied the sounds of the owl, because Sasquatch can sound like an owl, or an owl can sound like Sasquatch, actually.
And Nick, I was going to ask you, I hear a lot of crow sounds out when the area I go to go do a lot of hiking, and it's a heavy Sasquatch area. It's a town called Shaver Lake, California. And I hear crow sounds out there a lot. Now, can Sasquatch mimic a crow, or is it just an owl?
Jeremiah, don't they? They
Absolutely.
they imitate
wow.
everything.
Everything, like Nick just said,
nonstop.
they will imitate. They can and they will imitate any other creature when they get the chance, or for whatever reason. But to answer your question, yep, absolutely.
Yeah, because I hear a lot of the crows. And then I take my wife out with me because she likes to go hike with me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're just looking and just we're going on old abandoned OHV trails, climbing over big old redwoods that have been knocked over, So we're like, hey, let's go. That's where you're going to find the best evidence, I think. So
sure, absolutely.
You got mountains
One thing
in that area, remember?
Yes, very. That's why I take a gun with me. I take my 357. I'm like, I might need something a little bit more. Run across those
6 shots. 6 shots at a moving object is kind of rough.
Yeah, especially when you're shaking.
You're right. So especially when you're shaking.
Definitely take the bear spray to slow it down, and have your wife, have a bear spray also. And
yes,
you learn how to take the safety off so that you can get it into into action. That's not a funny thing. I mean, I've had
it's life or death.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some friends of mine out in the Texas area, out in the mountains of Texas, come across a mountain lion, and they said, "Boy, these things are bigger in person than you can actually imagine."
And fast.
Yeah, there's a video that's circulating on TikTok right now, and the guy's holding his gun out, and he fires 2 shots at it and totally misses it. But this thing's ears pinned backwards, approaching them, and eventually, after the second shot, I think it was the sound. It just turned around and left.
Yeah,
truly terrifying.
Well, it's intimidating.
Yeah, try to circle around them too.
Yeah,
so
definitely terrifying.
The thing. It depends on what their mood is and what they're looking for at the time.
That is very true, and especially if you're around the cubs,
Oh yeah. Same with a bear, a black bear. People, Nick, I mean, being from New Jersey, all about black bears, and people say how they aren't dangerous, this and that. I tell you what, in my opinion, a mother black bear is probably one of the most dangerous animals in the world. Wouldn't you say, Nick?
It sure is. And I tell you, one day I saw a teenage black bear. I put him at a teenage age because of the hair and his facial, the hair on the face and the coloring. He was 650 pounds if he was an ounce. This bear was huge. And he was in Gillette, New Jersey on Mountaintop Road. I'm going to name it. I don't care what they say. I called the police department to let them know that the bear was there. He was in a person's it had a half oval driveway, and he was just on all fours standing around looking there. And as I'm passing by, I stop and I'm looking, I'm going, holy shit. But he was gigantic.
And imagine what he looked like at full, size.
You have brown
fully grown, I mean.
Shane, you have brown bear out by you.
Oh yeah. We had a black bear that was actually it was back in June or July that was walking along the side of the highway because of all the fires and stuff that we get out here. And
hitchhiking or what?
What was that?
Was he hitchhiking? Put his paw?
Yeah, it was on our local news. He was literally on the shoulder just walking down, people slowing down and videotaping it, and it made the 5 o'clock news. I was like, what, a black bear this far down?
Really?
Normally, I mean, we're probably about an hour and a half away from the Sequoia National Forest, but I mean, for it to travel that far looking for food, and also the fires that we get, like I say, they'll push them down. So,
Jeremiah, do you have a brown bear up near you?
No, negative. Just we get some big black bear though.
Man, I'm telling you.
Yeah. No brown bear, but the black bear get big, like you were saying. They easily hit 600 pounds.
Wow.
But I don't think anyone can fathom how big something like that is until they actually see it. It's something it's that large, right in front of you. I mean, just that's mind blowing in itself. Let alone talking about Sasquatch or Dogman. So yeah, it's
I mean, I'm kind of glad we don't have grizzly bears out here in California anymore because
me too.
Out in the woods. I mean, I think the last one was eradicated in the early 1920s, and now the only one that's left in California is our state flag.
So, I think because of the growth. I mean, first of all, it's a long state.
Yes.
The growth of Northern California. Nothing's coming from Washington State into Northern California because Washington State has your brown bear.
Yes.
They have an overabundance of brown bear. I can tell you that from firsthand knowledge. I was up there with a buddy of mine. He went bear hunting. And it's just, those things are really huge. And I said before, they can go from 0 to 50 miles an hour in about 3 seconds. They're so big and they're so strong. Something that big can't move. It's just not something you want to see doing a locomotion towards you, in the middle of the forest or middle of a mountain area. Not at all.
I mean, think of how fast the Sasquatch and the Dogmen how quick they can get up there like that. I took a report at one time. These guys saw there was a Sasquatch in the middle of the road. It cut over to the right-hand side of the road. He hit that. They were other fellow researchers. They hit the gas, and this thing got alongside of their vehicle. He looked down at his speedometer, and this thing had hit all fours and was right side by side with this guy's truck doing 55 miles an hour.
Wow.
All fours, yeah.
On all fours. Yeah.
I mean,
that's fast.
of the Sasquatch is it's just enormous.
It's unreal.
The size, the bone structure, the thickness. It has to be very, very strong because look at the size of the thing. And Sean, I gave over a case to Jeremiah that was supposed to be a Dogman case in upstate New York that I had taken because I thought it was a Dogman case. I gave it over to him because I said, hey, we don't have any 50 cals right now, but this thing's about 15 feet tall, 3,000 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're the Sasquatch hunter. You go contact this lady and see if you could help her.
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting case. I mean, this thing was, and again, I mentioned it to our last guest as well. It was taking trees, ripping them out of the ground by the roots, jamming them back in the ground upside down, and it was almost like the roots were tied in knots.
Interesting.
Which is something I had never come across before, but it didn't surprise me.
I mean,
I've
seen that also, where the trees are taken out, and
right.
they're about what, 8 inches around, maybe 10.
Yeah.
Jammed into the ground with the roots sticking up. Now, you tell me what did that.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Naysayers out there, I want them to tell me what did that, because I saw that with my own eyes. Jeremiah has seen it. I know a lot of Sasquatch people out there that have seen that. Now, what is doing this throughout the whole country? Tell me,
Exactly. Now, do dogmen do the same type of stuff with trees?
No, they don't. They can climb trees, but that's
right.
They don't rip trees out, and it's always Sasquatch that's going to pick up a tree and try to hit you.
Right. Yeah.
Will rip your throat out with his claws, but Sasquatch always got to pick up a weapon. I don't know why. It's so damn big.
Make things easier, I guess, right?
All I know with the Sasquatch huts, and you see they're so intricate. I can't even say the word right. Intricately woven, and beautiful. And then it's like the Dogmen huts are just thrown, sticks and branches just thrown on top of each other. But I do think that the upside down. I don't know if the theory is true. I know it's all theory based, but upside down trees are grave markers for Sasquatch. I've heard that one.
That's definitely a possibility. Like you said, I can't prove that either, but I would definitely count that as a possibility. Why, they do so many other interesting things, very well could be.
Yeah.
Very well could be.
For all the research I've done on that, that's only the second time that I've heard anybody say that grave markers, being upside down.
Same here, Nick. That's the first time I've ever heard anyone mention that. I don't know why I never heard of that before, but thanks, Shane.
Yeah, no problem. That's just what I heard.
If it's a grave marker, though, the ones I've seen it in person 3 times. All right, and there's like 8 to 10 of them in the ground.
Yeah.
What are they trying to do? Make a statement, or is there 8 to 10 Sasquatch buried there, or what's going on? I mean,
good question.
I know one of the fellows that was there with us at the time, we had a pretty large group all 3 times, but one of the fellows at one of the times said to us, why don't we get our shovels and dig over around here, see something underneath it. He didn't say anything about being graves. He just said walking something. I'm glad we didn't dig it up, because if it was a grave, I think we would have been in big trouble.
Oh
yeah, definitely.
I mean, you know how humans look upon grave robbers or grave desiccators. Definitely.
Imagine a pissed off Squatch or Dogman.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to go there.
Yeah. So Shane, let me ask a question. How you might have mentioned this already, but how old were you when you got interested in the cryptids and the paranormal?
Just last year. I was only 30 years old. And like I said, I've only been in it for roughly about a year now, and just trying to learn, be a sponge, and not kick any theory or discredit anybody's beliefs or anything. I just try to say I'm a human sponge. I just try to absorb all the different theories and knowledge, and look up to people like you, Nick, DA, Jody, a lot of people in the Dogman community. Just there's so many different ideas and theories behind it. It's like, who's to say that one person's theory is wrong? I mean, I heard a Dogman theory that they have a 70-mile radius of that's their hunting ground. I mean, that sounds kind of far out there, but who's to say it's not?
Right.
I can't knock someone if I don't know it to be fact. It's all theory based. But I'd say about a year, I just been trying to pick up as much as I can when it comes to the Dogman phenomenon, and also spread that knowledge, what I hear, to newer people that are interested in getting in, the field, and obviously being safe, but also just their curiosity. And maybe say, hey, there's something out there. Well, hey, this is what I know and what I've heard, from different people. I mean, it's theory based, but just try to be that outlet to someone that, spread the knowledge of what I've acquired throughout, my time being in cryptozoology. So
educating others.
Yeah.
I totally couldn't agree with you more, man. That's awesome. Yeah. It's one of the main reasons I do it. I know Nick, that's one of
Yeah,
big thing for him as well. I know, both of us.
I have to
Yeah.
say,
That's
you've kind of went on the coattails of what I was doing also. I was trying to absorb as much as possible when I first started, and there wasn't really a lot back then.
Mhm.
Most recently, I found a ton of stuff. If you'll message me and remind me, I'll send you some of that diploma course that I took 2 different diploma courses on
Okay.
zoology. I'll send you some of that in case you're interested in taking it yourself.
Yeah. I
yeah.
definitely
Send it
would.
my way too, Nick, if you could.
You want that? Yeah. You'd be-
Absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely would like to
That'd
have
be
it
cool.
because I mean they don't. I don't know what universities even offer it. I mean,
Not
what didn't they
anymore,
used
not
to?
anymore. I did extensive research into that, and
Mhm.
the only place I found was over in Europe,
Oh
uh,
wow.
offering stuff like that. I can send you both where, the 2 places I went to. I post both my diplomas on there on my
Yep.
personal webpage.
Mhm.
And, it was a super interesting course. It gets you caught up really quick. And it's about all of the cryptids. Unfortunately, it's lacking in one area. It doesn't talk about Dogman.
Oh,
Really?
I don't know if they redid the
Huh.
course, lately or whatever. I sent them a note about it and I never heard it back from them. But yeah, I'll send you both the information on it because
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
your one director needs to be caught up on things and
Yeah. No, I appreciate it.
Yeah. It's
We're a
very
big
cool.
team as an organization, and I just like I say, I look up to Art.
yeah, and the Adirondacks top Sasquatch man,
Her,
he needs to be caught up too.
Yeah, definitely do, man.
Yeah,
Definitely do.
I did a lot of research. I wanted to.
she's still a field investigator for the NADP guys, and you guys are very knowledgeable. But yeah, like I say, you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
okay,
cut out
sorry,
for a
my-
second, but I can hear you.
Yeah, I was gonna say my internet just kicked. I was like, oh darn it. Okay, but yeah, no,
We
it's
got
just
you back.
just to get as much knowledge as I can, and I think that would really help, Nick. I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just remind me, please. I got so many things coming at
No,
me.
I know you're a busy guy.
No. Just remind me. That's all. Facebook
Okay.
message to me. This way, I'll get it out to you. Same with you, Jeremiah. Just let me know.
Yeah, will do.
I'm thinking like 50 different directions at one time. I've got so many projects going, besides work and everything. So Shane, we got to get down to any good stories that you came across while in your short tenure.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many different ones. I want to say Daryl Denton and Martin Groves, their encounter, that was to me probably, or Joe Badger's encounter, I think it was. Wasn't his up in Michigan where he shot and killed when he was driving a semi truck? He shot and killed the dog man.
Right through his eyeball. Yeah, I met him at the Paris, Tennessee Cryptid Conference.
Mhm.
And over breakfast, he was telling me about that.
Yeah, I think
pretty legit story, or catch me there, fellas. I haven't heard this.
Oh, you haven't heard Jeremiah? Oh man.
No.
Well, I think Nick can probably tell you better since he's talked to
Go
Joe
ahead,
in person.
give it to him.
Well, I only know the little bits and pieces from when I remember listening to it, because I think he went on Bettina Moss's show, or I think Martin was telling about it on Bettina's. And when I was listening to it, I was just like, oh my goodness. I'm painting a picture in my head and pick out the main details. But he was driving in Michigan. Nick, if you want to fill in on anything I miss out, main details. But yeah, he was driving a semi, and I think one dog man was running along the side of his semi, and he ended up pulling out his what type of gun was it? I know it was a pistol.
357.
357. Okay. And then he turned over and he fired it and shot it, and it went right through its eye, I believe.
Yeah.
Dropped dead.
The eye.
Yeah, right through the eye.
Wow.
And he said it took him about 10 minutes to turn back around, and when he's driving back down to go see it, I think something had carried it off into the woods, like another dog man. It's just, I think I don't know. I've left out so many. So Joe, I do apologize if you're listening. Martin, I didn't mean to butcher the story. I'm just kind of summing it up in 2 minutes. So
that's interesting. That's
really
very interesting. I've heard of Sasquatch is doing the same thing, carrying it away. That's extremely interesting.
Yeah, you don't hear much about dogmen getting murdered, by
Right.
a shot because things are so hard to miss.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, I would say that one was probably the most terrifying I've heard. Daryl Denton talked about when him and was it Martin, they went out to the LBL just like 2 weeks ago, took some pictures. I saw some stuff, and And then DA's and Nick's encounter, I thought that was pretty,
Oh, yeah.
DA's talked a little bit about it, like how it just ran off, but just going to the LBL to see it, I'm like, man, it seems pretty frightening. There's so many different Dogman encounters that I've heard that just, wow, they're terrifying. There was a lady on some guy's podcast, I don't know if you guys want me to mention it, but she was babysitting her dad's house or watching her dad's house over, I want to say somewhere in Europe, I don't remember what country. And the Dogman, we walked across the glass, in front of the window, and she looked over and was terrified. And it's just like, there's so many things I leave out on detail. It's just, I mean, I can mention, just little bits, but there's so many I've come across that I've just listened to. And I'd say there's like a top 5 encounters that are out there that is, I can post them if you guys would like, or send them to you. That what I thought were pretty terrifying.
Yeah, they are very horrific experiences, these encounters people have. It's just because it's been imprinted in our minds for so many years, whether you're a believer or not. There's so, like you were saying, Shane, a little earlier, there's so many naysayers out there. It's imprinted in your mind. So when you actually see one of these things, it's like a kick in the ass. Wow, these things are.
It becomes an adrenaline rush. How are you going to respond? You got some guys all just point at it and shoot it. No, you're not going to point at it, shoot at it, especially if a Dogman comes running at you. It's not going to run in a straight line and say, "Hey, shoot me in the eye." It's it's going to make it impossible. But when you when you do see it, I know Nick's seen one. But when you just see something that isn't supposed to exist, standing 7.5, 8 feet tall on 2 legs, it just how do you respond? Some people you're frightened out of your mind, and your first instinct's to get out of there.
Yes.
What did I just
absolutely
see?
Absolutely. The answers, it's the more we've said this several times too, the more questions you answer in these fields we're in, the more questions pop up.
Exactly.
So the more you
it's a never-ending circle. It's one of those.
It really is.
Guys, there are so many people out there that say, "Oh, I want to see a Sasquatch. I want to see a dog." Yeah, okay. What is your game plan after you see it?
Yeah,
exactly.
Just remember, if you see it, most likely it's seeing you.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
What are you going to do if it starts coming towards you? Freeze, wet your pants, run.
Right.
None of those 3 options are a viable option. It's going to get you killed. That's it, plain and simple.
Absolutely.
You better plan your boots on the ground investigation ahead of time, and you better stick to your plan. And it better be a good plan, because it has to be able to keep you safe.
Yes.
That's basically it. I've had many a report, phone call, Facebook Messenger, or an email sent to me where people have had a Dogman sighting. I want to say, I wouldn't call it an encounter because it was on the other side of the window, but their first floor window was like 7 feet off the ground, and this thing's looking in the window.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Say to that, I mean, if your windowsill is 7 feet off the ground, and you have a wolf head looking into your window, this thing must be what, 7.5?
7.5, 8 feet, yeah.
Yeah. What? And the people are like, "Well, what do I do?" I'm like, I cannot tell you what to do. I can give you ideas of how to safeguard your home, by putting up alarms outside the house, by putting up lights that'll go on, pepper spray, putting pepper around your windowsills, around your house, and many other things. I think I spoke on this matter with Dark Waters about how to, proof your house from a Sasquatch or a Dogman, but nothing's 100%.
Exactly.
But a lot of people will call me up, and like I said, once again, I'm like trying to help them get over something. Or, well, what do I do? I can't tell you got to move, and they're telling me I think I should move. I think I should move. I said, well, that's really up to you. And what do you do after that? Do you tell the people you're selling the house to? No, I don't think you will.
Yeah.
No, probably not.
When I bring that up, they tell me right away, "Oh no, you can't report this now." all right, I won't report it where it happened or when, but I will tell people that something has happened.
Absolutely.
Well over 20 reports of this happening to people.
Yeah.
So it's
Looking
like,
in their windows.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Same here. Same here with the Sasquatch thing. Yeah. Taking many a report like that. It's wild.
Shane, if you've never heard of any of Jeremiah's interviews on his Sasquatch encounters,
Mhm.
I'm going to call them encounters, not sightings, because
Right.
they've actually messed with him on several occasions.
See, I didn't know about that. Yeah, if you can send those to me, or are they on your YouTube channel that I can, search and listen to it?
Yeah. If go to you have my YouTube channel, right?
Yeah,
You-
is it on the
Go
trail,
to
right?
the YouTube channel and there's going to be go under playlist and there's a section in there with about 5 interviews I've done with other people where people have interviewed me about my encounters.
Oh wow, okay.
And
Yeah, I'll definitely
yeah,
check that out, brother.
Yeah. I actually the property we live on is a family piece of property, and we've got a family group that's been on the property for some time. And
Oh, wow.
once in a while they get a little feisty,
Yeah.
but
Now, do you guys gift them? Because I've heard that gifting is a big
negative,
no-no, but
no
Never-
sir.
Never gift.
yes,
Never.
that's the thing. I was like,
Nope.
that's something you'd really want to do. Because then if you
Never,
don't,
ever.
that's when they're going to start getting a little antsy and say, hey, start vandalizing your property.
Exactly.
Or worse.
In my experience, that's only turned out horrible for I can't even put it into words. It's only turned out as an awful thing for people that have done that, especially if
Yeah.
they're giving them food. Number one, I don't think it's fair to I'm going to call them a creature, whether it's a dogman, a Sasquatch. I don't think it's fair, number one, to give them food because they're going to get used to that lifestyle.
Exactly.
What happens?
Just like feeding a bear.
Exactly. See, yeah, exactly. And
People just gonna start
it's just a safety issue.
Yes.
Why do it? But
Yeah.
to each his own, I guess.
Oh yeah, and I know there's some people even out here in California that swear by gifting the Sasquatch and
Yeah.
with Granny Apple Smith apples and
Oh God.
that they're in Northern California. I mean, that's an expensive food bill. If you're gonna keep
Yeah.
doing it every day
Yeah.
for years on end.
Sean, look for his interviews where he's gotten hit by infrasound from Sasquatch.
Oh wow, you got hit with infrasound, huh?
Hardcore.
Now that can be damaging.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard of
I'll
lots of encounters on behind.
Give
the
you a quick
infrasound.
rundown. I don't want to take up time on your interview, but
No,
I
you're
was
good.
I was out in the field. I'm like Nick. I'm boots on the ground.
Mhm.
I was out in the field and I actually had my IR camera up to my eye, and I could feel something was behind me. Okay, as I turn around, I see a big brown flash zooming by me, and all of a sudden I got very nauseated. My equilibrium got thrown off, and I started to vomit. And I just knew that whatever had ran by me, I knew that was my brain. Somehow I knew that was the cause of what was happening.
Wow.
But it's a very terrible experience, but hardcore vomiting, equilibrium, headache, dryness of the mouth, and it was all hitting me at one time.
Wow.
Now,
And
we dissected this, Shane, Jeremiah and I, and we figured that he either got close to where they live, or maybe he got close to a kill, a dead deer or
Yep.
something, or possibly a young one.
Yep.
They just, that was it.
that was that was my usually, and I'm lucky to even gotten a warning if that was the case. Usually if you're near young of any type of creature, they're gonna not do pretty.
Yeah, exactly. But man,
It's still very
that bad of
unpleasant.
an infrasound. Man,
It was horrible.
I've
In my
heard of
heart
one.
of hearts, I believe that's what it was. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's what
Yeah.
it sounds very similar to the nausea and all that. I want to say Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. I don't want to butcher his story. Or what
Okay,
happened
yeah,
to
I know
him.
Rob.
Oh, you know Rob. Okay, I think he
Yeah.
talks about how his was it ex-wife or ex-girlfriend or she got deceased. She got hit with the infrasound, and I think she passed on shortly. Sorry, rest in peace. Sorry, Rob, if you're ever listening. I didn't want to butcher that at all. I've heard where it's gotten people where they get real nauseated, and this was what I'd heard recently, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Truly, yeah.
It's very unpleasant. Now, can dogmen do the same thing, you guys?
I've heard of encounter theories and encounters where they have, but I
Okay.
also heard where they mind speak to you. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know if it's really mind speak. Like I said, I don't discredit anything. I hear mind speak say, put the gun down or I will attack. But honestly, I think it's the back of your head.
Yeah.
I think your sixth sense saying you need to get the heck out of the area. To be honest with you.
Right.
Right.
Right. Gotcha.
The infrasound, they do that for sure.
Yes.
Mind speak and all the research and all the interviews I've done, it's mainly coming from Sasquatch telling people to put the gun down. You shoot that and
Oh, okay.
kill you. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Dogman is just a different animal. And remember, Dogman and Sasquatch don't play well together at all.
Nope.
Land between the lakes area, Kentucky and Tennessee. You've got the Sasquatch in the lower area, Dogman in the upper area, in the Kentucky area. And, they do sort of avoid each other because there have been clashes.
Yeah. It's like a hyena and a lion.
Yeah.
Just don't play well.
Very territorial.
Yes, absolutely.
Coyote,
Absolutely.
Coyote and wolves, they
Exactly.
just don't play well together either.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Sean, any plans on any big field investigation adventures out there? Or
Just the Santa Cruz one that DA sent me about a month ago or 2 months ago. And I'm thinking probably that by the end of the month or the beginning of next month, I'm going to try to get a hold of that gentleman that called in the DA and try to see, he said he had to go back out to the area to kind of, take some pictures. And he said that he would like to go with us. So, but I'd rather feel better not going alone. So that's why I'm trying to, get together a team out here in California. And it's kind of with gas being so expensive out here, it's to go do this. We don't make money off doing this. The North American Dogman Project is not a charity case. We do this on our own free time, on our own dime. So having to go do this, it is a big commitment, not just for, being a regional director or a field investigator. It's big on all of us to do this. But that's my first case. If I can get someone to go with me, other than just my wife, because when it's an NADP case, they have to be part of the North American Dogman Project. You can't just call, Tim and Larry across the street and say, hey, we're going to go to the Santa Cruz Mountains. We're going to go hunt down a dog, man. But they have to, as much as you want to do that, but I mean, it's very organized and very structured. How Jody, Nick, DA, how it's very structured on how the organization is. And there's certain things what you have to do. And I'm totally for that. And also for my own safety, I'd like to have at least another 2-3 people watching my six, just in case. I know the encounter happened 2-3 years ago, but who's not to say that thing's not lingering around there still,
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So that's my first official, I guess you say, case that was presented to me that I'm going to go. And then I've talked to Dev Rooney. There's one, not to give out too much information on it, but it is in Northern California, and told me a little bit about it. But it happened years ago, kind of thing, and not to go into too much detail about it. But there's one up there that she's told me about. I'd like to eventually next year maybe go up there and do some investigation. I definitely want to go to the Jedediah National Forest, from where that one Dogman picture was taken. And that actually the encounter behind that was the dude was just walking and he kept hearing something rustling in the bushes. And when he pulled out his phone, he was able to snap like 2 photos, and the thing was walking. It was on bipedally down into the thickets of the wood. So the guy didn't know who to contact. He was actually coming back from a concert. He actually lived in Washington, and he was trekking back from California, and then happened to stop in the Jedediah National Forest. And that's where he got that photo.
Wow.
It's actually on the website if you guys want to take a look at it.
Quick question, Shane. Did he, now when he snapped that photo, did he actually see the creature, or did he notice it on the phone after?
I'd have to reread the encounter again, but I do believe he did see it. That's why he pulled out his phone really quick. And I don't know if it was a flip phone or if it was just but he just snapped the photo and then sent it in to Dev, and then Dev sent it over to Jody, and it's on the website. It's real pixelated though. I mean, but you can clearly see the ears on the creature. You can tell it is. It's not a Sasquatch for sure.
Right.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah, I know some people will do that. If they hear stuff, they'll snap pictures of the wood line without seeing
Yeah.
anything. So that I was just curious.
So that's what I do when I first started going out in the field. I was just taking
Yeah.
pictures, and I've
Yeah.
listened to Nick's interviews in the past and say always look up, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm like, I don't want some 7.5 foot dogman pouncing on me, you know.
Hell
But
no,
it's like
no way.
definitely want to watch your six. You definitely
Yeah.
always look up. So
I don't think
learning-
people look up enough.
Yeah, they really don't. They're too busy looking down.
Mountain lion in the trees also.
Yeah.
To be able to save yourself. You know, it's
Yeah.
not something you want jumping down on you at all.
And no,
Exactly.
not some 700-pound, you know, 8-foot tall creature. You know, you definitely not something you want on your back.
Yeah. Right. Dinner, you become dinner for something.
Right, right. So, Shane, let me ask you, and you don't have to get into too much detail about it if you want. What is your theory on what these things are?
Like flesh and blood or interdimensional? Like, is that?
Well, just in that, and what you think if they're related to anything, or just your opinions.
Yeah, I guess you could say, like I said, I keep an open mind to it all. I do believe the theory that if it breathes, it bleeds. It is flesh and blood. But when you see that there's the only one print, and like Nick said, you see a UFO. That's where these things become interdimensional. And then Josh Turner recently just did a podcast that his brother, or honestly his brother or his nephew, someone drew the right angle theory and said that they can live in both, like the fourth dimension. And that really blew my mind. I was like, whoa, okay. Like that. I do believe in both theories, though. I do believe that dogmen are flesh and blood. And I believe the missing 411 cases, you know, interline with the underground cave systems almost to identical to a T almost. And just from what I've seen and what I've, you know, done a little research on, that I do believe they live in the caves. I mean, why not? I mean, it's nice.
Why not?
Wait, you don't see people going down in caves and exploring. I mean, some do, you know, but that's where a lot of the missing 411s go. People just vanish. What happens to them, you know?
Yep. You know, like you hear a lot of those cases on the Appalachian Trail. The Appalachian Trail is infested with caves. So you're right. It lines right up, you know, lines right up. I personally have changed my views. Nick, I've talked about this several times, but when I first got in this field, you know, almost 20 years ago now, you know, I was a straight flesh and blood guy, thought these Sasquatch were some sort of unknown primate. But I can tell you now, over the last, you know, 10 years, I've changed my theories on that because I've seen so much weird activity over the years, you know. So I'm with you. I keep an open mind to everything, you know, to everything. But there's a lot of weirdness to these cases, both Dogman and Sasquatch cases. There's just so much weirdness, you know, with, like Nick was saying, with the lights, you know, UFOs, just stuff like that. You know, I try to keep an open mind as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I mean, the sightings are increasing, it seems like, too, more and more each year. These things are, you know, not scared of us. They're coming out into our cities, our backyards, in plain daylight. They're just,
exactly.
I think they're just not intimidated, or maybe the government's been trying to hold them hush hush for so long. It's just become, now it's mainstream. You see a Sasquatch, there's soap named after Sasquatch. I mean, it's become a common trend. It's gonna
beef jerky and all. Yeah. It's crazy.
I believe that.
Yeah, go ahead, bud. Sorry.
No, go ahead. My bad.
No, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I cut you off for a second. My bad.
I was just gonna say, it's over the last, even over the last few years, it's gotten to be so mainstream, you know, so to speak, you know, beef jerky. So whatnot. Pretty wild.
And I believe the Dogmen too. There's more movies coming out about Dogmen.
Yes.
I mean, American Werewolves just came out, and there's truly terrifying encounters on that. And I think Hollywood's making more. I mean, it's like a C-rated movie. You probably heard of it, the Dogmen, where they did a part 2, and it's like Enter the Wrath. It's real cheesy, but I mean, they're making more. It's becoming more mainstream and understand.
More mainstream.
More mainstream. And I believe that's what the public. My whole thing is, I'd like to spread awareness of these things. Yeah, you can call me crazy, but I don't. Like I said, I don't care. That these things out there, and the phenomenon is growing more and more.
Yeah.
And we're talking Dogman, not werewolf here. Now, the difference between that is a Dogman is a Dogman, a bipedal creature about 7 feet plus tall all the time, all day, 24 hours a day, 365. A werewolf, full moon comes out, goes away. if there is such a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But getting back to what you were saying before, when Jeremiah asked you what your opinion on it was, yeah, flesh and blood, because I've seen it eat, I've heard it walk away, I've smelled it. But just like the Sasquatch, and I have a little saying I like to say, where the footprint ends, where their footprint ends, where did they go? Now,
Exactly.
another dimension, right? A portal, possibly. And as an aside to all that, I just want to mention again, when you do go on a field investigation out there, let somebody know where you're going.
Always.
Where you're going. And you might also want to grab one of those mini Garmin, they're called Mini 2 InReach. They're a Garmin locator. You can press a button and you can be located, unless of course you went through a portal, and then I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want to test the theory out. But
Me neither.
the Garmin InReach Mini 2, that's like the best one they got out there so far. I know it's a little pricey, but you know, there's a little button that you press, and that means you need help. And
Yep.
you never know, maybe you didn't find anything, but you fell down and you broke your leg, and you got a thick fracture and you're starting to bleed to death, or you got bit by a snake and you got to get out of there. I mean, they'll send people coming for you right away.
Yeah.
So that Garmin locate, and it's only this big, it's tiny, but very powerful because it goes off all the satellites.
You can stick it right in your pocket.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
put it
Yeah.
right on your vest.
Right.
Yep.
So small, it's smaller than a Bofang radio,
Oh, wow.
half the thickness and half the size, and it has a little antenna that's maybe 2.5 inches, but it's super coaxial wound. And I mean, this thing is something. I've seen it in action, and the damn thing works. So I mean, besides bear spray and water, and you know, I would say that Garmin InReach Mini 2. They have the Mini. It's a little cheaper, but the Mini 2 has other advantages than the other one. It's
Okay.
about $40 more, but heck, I would get the latest one. But
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get one of those.
really,
Yeah, me too.
you want to go out there, you need protection, some water, and you know, you can go without food for 6-7 days, but that water,
Exactly. Definitely gotta have the water. I know when I went out to just go hiking in a deep forest where I kind of go hiking, I let Dev, when she was the Region 1 director, I'm like, hey, I'm just going out in the field, letting you know if I see anything, I'll send it your way. I'm not going out on an investigation just to just tell her, hey, where I was at, you know. And I tell my mom and you know, my family where I would be at.
Absolutely. I do the same thing, whether it's Nick or a family member or whoever. Just, you know, whoever comes to your head at that moment, you know, I'll shoot them a text, shoot them a message. Hey, I'm going to be here.
Yep.
You know, it's not hard to do, you know. I can't stress that to people enough, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, just at least let somebody know the general vicinity, at least where you're going to be at, you know.
Shane,
You can't put a price tag.
yeah, I'll tell you right now, Shane, if I ever got a message from Jeremiah's wife, Jeremiah's been missing for 8 hours and he's back, I would gather both. Well, I got 3 different teams. I would try to gather 2 teams and we would zip right up there.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I do the same for Nick, you know, absolutely.
Guaranteed.
Get to you in like 3 hours or less.
Yeah.
But we're coming up there to try to find you, and I would hope that you would have some way to contact you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for, like you said, they're a little pricey, but totally worth it.
Yeah. I guess you can't put a price tag on your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Being an adult, the police just say, oh, we got to give it 24 hours. No.
No.
No. We're telling you, should have been back 5 hours ago, not back. Get out there and start the search.
Exactly.
You know, in my younger years, when I was part of a volunteer search and rescue squad, and there's nothing else we would rather do, you know, to go out there into the wilderness and try to find somebody. And they not only have dogs that can track you, you know, like bloodhound type dogs, but they have cadaver dogs that can find you underwater. They can find you. If you fell into a hole and you're 25 feet down, they can find you. These are special dogs and they've been specially trained. I mean, it takes like $20-something thousand to train these dogs.
Wow.
I bet.
They're all picked for their talent and that they're special. So I can't understand why they wouldn't find people. Now, if a female runner is jogging in the woods and she's 3 miles into her hike or her jog, and a Squatch grows and grabs her and runs off into the woods and runs for 35 miles, I don't think they're going to track it.
Probably not. No.
Dogs are going to back down. So that's another way people can go missing 411. But if it's a person, you know, a killer that has killed somebody, you're going to have blood, you're going to have some sort of evidence in the area, and the dogs will be able to track it, you know. Or if you did fall into a crevice, the dogs will be able to track you. And you do have people out there that are super skilled that at tracking, and they can find you. So, you know, short of being kidnapped by a cryptid, I think most of the time they're going to find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you have for advice, Shane, on for people that don't think any of these things are real, whether it goes for Sasquatch, Dogman, any type of cryptid? What do you have to say to them?
Well, just the thing, keep an open mind. Everything you read isn't always true, but at the same time, that these things are coming out more and more. The sightings are increasing. It's just to keep an open mind to it. Who's to say that? I mean, look at the snow leopard, for example. It was a myth, and then all of a sudden, there it is. They found it. All these creatures that are coming, that we are discovering in science every single day. You know, different types of spiders, different types of birds. I mean, who's to say that these things? They've been here for, you know, I think since the beginning of time. But
me too.
Yeah, it's just you keep an open mind to everything. Not everything you hear, you know, you have to believe, but at least just keep an open mind, an open idea. Like, oh, it could be. That's like my wife. My wife doesn't believe, but she keeps an open mind to it.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
So that's what might be my best advice for people, is just keep an open mind.
Yep. That's some good advice.
Says, you know, take a team if you're going to go out into the woods, or tell people, like you said, Jeremiah, just tell someone where you're going out into the woods, and if, you know, be safe. Just when you're just doing the whole thing, if you're hiking or just doing whatever, you know, backpacking in the country, just to, you know, be safe. Keep an open mind.
That's all we ask, for people to just keep an open mind.
That's it.
You never know. You never know. You might come across something, and then you're like, you know, they were right.
Yeah, they were right all along.
Now oh God.
Yeah. What I just saw a werewolf in the woods, you know, and hey, I told you about it. That guy, he wasn't so crazy, you know, he was saying, telling us the truth.
Exactly.
Hey, we should have kept an open mind. So
I know, talked to many people that have had instant changes of opinion in that, you know, in that realm over the years, you know, and
Jeremiah, I was one of them, brother. I honestly didn't believe in Dogman. I believed in Sasquatch. I believed that there was something there. But me being new to the whole cryptozoology, one thing I did learn is don't discredit anything until you actually know. So I'm like, how do you say that these people, you know, are crazy? I was sitting there thinking, I've just never heard of a Dogman. Heard werewolf. I just thought that was Hollywood. But
yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, and until, you know, I was never a believer when I first got into the cryptozoology many years ago. I wasn't a believer in the whole Dogman thing either, until I had, number one, I had an experience. Secondly, you know, Nick and I, you know, we've been working together, what, now 3 years now, Nick, almost?
Yeah, 3 years.
About 3 years, you know, and he's solidified a lot of my views on different things, you know, not just Dogman, but different things as well. And I just think it's one of those things, like the whole Sasquatch thing. People aren't going to become believers until they see one for themselves.
Yep. And that's where the Dogman and the Sasquatch community, they clash, say, oh, Dogmen don't exist. It's just a Bigfoot they saw. I mean, like Nick says, there's 7 different variants of Dogmen. One of them I truly think is a Gugwe, on the baboon looking one. But then again, that's a cousin to the Sasquatch, the face eater. You know?
That's a good question. You know, what is it? You know?
Yeah.
Dogman or Sasquatch,
But there's going to be the conflict in the communities no matter what. And some people say it's not a Dogman, it was a Sasquatch. But yeah, it's just one of those things that you're going to get the clashing, but there's people are seeing something out there. If it's got the protruded snout, the German Shepherd looking head, it's clear. How more clear can you get that it's not that it is a Dogman, not a Sasquatch?
Exactly. And thousands of people, yeah, you have a handful of people out there that make these stories up for the hell of, for whatever reason. But when there's
the likes,
what's that?
Like the creepypasta stories that you get on YouTube,
Right,
the likes and all that. Yeah,
exactly. But thousands of people reporting these encounters with Sasquatch, with Dogmen, they aren't making it up.
Yeah,
that many people are not making these stories up.
Well, you know who else is not making these things up is the Native American Indians.
Absolutely.
People. Up near you, Jeremiah, the First Nations people.
Yeah.
I've spoken to many of an Algonquin Indian in Canada.
Yes.
Now, the Gugway, which is the face eater, is actually a type of Sasquatch because it does have a flat face. It doesn't have a snout.
Right.
And the thing is 8, 9, 10 feet tall. Dogmen are generally under 8 feet. And Algonquin Indians do not like these things. Of course, nobody's going to like a Gugway,
no, they're scared to death of them.
Yeah, they're in southeastern area of Canada. They're coast up there, and it's just there's 11 different variations of, as you know, Jeremiah, of Sasquatch. A lot of them.
Yeah, that would be probably what we closest to a type 3. We refer to it as
type 3,
the Gugway. Type 3. You're right, Nick. They're absolutely petrified of these things.
Yeah.
Where I think they anyone in their right mind would be a little weary, at least. Absolutely.
Yeah. And like Nick brought up about the whole Native Americans, I've actually grown an interest in wanting to learn about their history, because you don't hear about it in the textbooks growing up. It's more how we became a country, but I believe
exactly.
It's just like the Ulonga Duglala and the Chiatonka. They talk about that. That's thousands of years. And that's what I'm intrigued by, is the cryptids and the native history with the two. I tried calling the two local native tribes around here, one called the Tabatalabo Indians and then the Yokits, and I never got a call back. It's just the people don't want to talk about it. I sound like a weirdo calling, hey, can you talk to me about your history?
Well, it's not that they don't want to talk about it. The Native Americans who are in the United States will not talk to you or I unless you're part Native American, that is.
Yeah, that's what I kind of figured.
Yeah.
Plus, they're superstitious about it.
Yes.
If you talk about it, it's going to come and get me or my family, and they don't want that.
Yep.
So I encountered that. I've traveled the country in search of different cryptids, and while I'm here or there, and I see a local tribe lives in this area, I try to make contact, but they'll talk about other things, but they'll talk about growing tobacco and the like, but they won't talk about anything that has to do with a cryptid.
No. I've got relatives that are Native American, distant relatives, and they won't even talk to. I don't even get spoken to directly about stuff like that. It's just the way it is. Yeah.
That's a shame. You're related too.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
You're related. Just don't want to talk about the subject.
They just won't talk about it. That's how it is, and the stuff's been talked about for 10,000 years in their history. So. Yeah, you can't discredit that stuff. People, like you said, Shane, people just gotta keep an open mind out there if you could, please.
Just keep an open mind to it. And
please.
These natives would maybe making that up when it's painted on the cave walls and stuff.
Exactly.
Not just Dogman and Sasquatch, but like the UFO stuff and
the Thunderbird.
The Thunderbirds and stuff. Yeah, it's history right there.
It is
on the walls, just waiting to be explained.
Exactly.
That mural, the mural that's on the side of the mountain over there, right?
Oh yeah, that's. Yep.
Yeah. Come on. What do you think that was? I'm saying it was a pterodactyl that actually hung around.
I tend to agree with you.
Once again, the Native Americans are not afraid of thunderbirds. They think they're good luck.
Yes.
And but that's about all they'll talk to you about. They really don't want to get into anything else, and it's kind of hard to get knowledge unless you can get somebody to talk to you about it.
Yeah. Especially with the skinwalkers and the wendigos, and those words are forbidden.
That's really taboo. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
it goes, oh no. That,
Yeah.
that is a total turn off to them. They'll turn around and bye. They won't
See ya.
bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, Jeremiah, I think we've hit our time limit here.
We have, yeah. We've been Shane, I gotta thank you again, man. Me, Nick and I are just very grateful you came on, man.
Thanks. It's been a true honor. And Nick, Jay, I appreciate you guys. And like I say, I'm
Absolutely.
really honored.
I tell you what, we'll definitely have you back on at some point, man.
Yeah.
For sure. Give us some updates here and there.
Okay. Yeah, definitely love to do that. And like I say, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. So
Okay, good.
yeah.
Sounds good.
You can always contact us or call if you got a question or you need some info.
Okay.
We're not like these people out there that want to keep it to themselves only.
Oh yeah.
Money.
No, I know you guys are. You guys are genuine guys, and I respect the heck out of both of you.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Anytime,
much.
brother.
Right back at you.
Thanks, man.
Yep. So everyone, it's been episode 8. I think, Nick, what we've done since we've been back, 8. This is episode 8 of OTT, and yeah, it's number 8, season 4. We got a whole another show planned for next week. Shane, one more thing. How can people get in touch with you if they want to report an encounter or a sighting in your area?
You can reach out to me on Facebook. Add me as a friend, Shane-Maichael Crisp, or you can go to the Region 1 page for the North American Dogmen Project. I'm the admin on that page, and I also have 11 state chapters pages I've created earlier this week. So,
okay.
Or you can get a hold of Nick or Jody and get a hold of me if you need to. If you have an encounter in these the 11 Western states, give me a holler. I'd love to, get that, call you up and hear your encounter and write it down and get it reported and get a team out there.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Shane.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it, and we'll definitely we'll have you back on some night.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys. You guys have a great evening. Okay.
All right, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
Thanks. Bye.